Okay, so going into some data and statistics, the suicide rate for farmers and farm workers is 28.7 out of 100,000 suicide mortalities a year. That's farming, forestry, and fishing combined. And it's kind of a silent struggle that we're wanting to address. And then there's about 1.89 million farms in America currently, which is down 7% from 2017. So just some background on the justification of the work that we're doing. Agriculture makes up 12% of Washington State's overall economy, generating nearly $11 billion in revenue from 39,500 farms and ranches. This is also an industry that supports 164,000 jobs through production, processing, transportation, and sales. Higher suicide rates in rural and agricultural communities compared to urban counterparts are attributed to strenuous lifestyle and unique rural barriers like lower access to providers and social stigmas, as well as isolation, access to resources. The stigma surrounding mental health for farmers, as well as men reaching out for resources. So that's why we think that we're seeing a jump in that.
Maddy, we have one question from Senator Slaughter.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much. These are really heartbreaking statistics. I'd be curious if you could just unwrap a little bit about the social stigma,
Sure.
And why we might be seeing it now versus before.
From personal experience, so I grew up on a dairy farm watching my dad. There's kind of I would say it's a well-deserved pride associated with farming. A lot of them are legacy farmers or generational farmers, so they carry a lot of pride for the work that they've done. They're out there, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's kind of like a combination of not having enough time to access those resources, as well as a generational stigma. Just from, past generations, they have a attitude of buck up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps type mentality. So it's kind of a little bit more difficult combined with, being isolated as well. They're used to kind of isolating themselves instead of looking out for resources. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Follow up, Madam Chair. How is that different in some way because of farmers versus, say, what you might see in an urban setting with men or people who are struggling there? I guess I'm trying to get that, if there's a distinction, because, there's a very important resource that's being provided here.
Right. Yeah, totally. I think it goes back to, again, the isolation of it, access to resources. We have the ability to, drive 15 minutes or 10 minutes, 5 minutes and have access to resources. Some of these farmers in Eastern Washington have to drive, a good hour. And when you're taking that out of your day-to-day operate, it's kind of, it creates a different level of barrier. And then also some additional demographic data. We're seeing a higher spike in suicides in males, specifically in the about 50 to 60-year-old range. That's pretty much our highest demographic across all industries, specifically agricultural, forestry, fishing, and hunting. Crop production as well is pretty high. And then you can see fishing, hunting, and trapping is at 111.7 suicide rate. So very high rates that we're working with in our state.